It's been exactly 1 year since Ken and Incineroar were confirmed as the final 2 reps in Smash Ultimate, which means that it's been exactly 1 year and 1 day since the Grinch Leak was still viable in some people's minds. Before the hard confirmation that Ken and Incineroar were the final characters, we were in the thick of constant rumors, leaks, and fakes. And the Grinch Leak was the most infamous of them all, and perhaps is the most infamous leak in the entire history of Smash Brothers. This was basically the civil war of the Smash community. So many people were for or against this leak, and the debates and arguments over whether it was real or not became so heated. I was personally super split. I wanted so badly for the Grinch Leak to be real, but looking at credible leakers and seeing them contradict it, it just really made me question the validity. I was just a blind Banjo fan who wanted him in the game. And of course, we now know that this leak was fake, but I think that now that it's been a full year since it was deconfirmed, it would be fun to go over it with the benefit of hindsight to see if it really felt credible or if we as a community were simply desperate for certain characters to join. So let's start from the beginning. These 3 images were posted to someone's Snapchat and they were quickly spread throughout the internet. The first is a picture with an LOL filter over it, showing the blank background of the Ultimate banner with a round thing in the background with the completed image. The second picture shows that these were allegedly for a kind of wristband with the Smash and Switch logos along with the full cast. The caption is in French and translated it says F Nintendo LOL. And the final image is the alleged full cast with quite a few characters that hadn't been announced at that point being found on further inspection. Isaac from Golden Sun, Banjo and Kazooie, Shadow the Hedgehog, Ken from Street Fighter, the Chorus Kids from Rhythm Heaven, Gino from Super Mario RPG, and Mach Rider were the discovered characters based on comparison with the original, and even then there was still speculation on other characters in there because of how poor quality the picture was. Now, the weird thing about this leak was just how far down the rabbit hole people went to either prove or disprove it. While the person's name is blacked out, people believe that they knew who it was. And because this was apparently marketing material and the caption was in French, many searched for French marketing companies that had done work for Nintendo before, and more importantly, ones that were actively doing promotional work for the then upcoming animated Grinch film. The first and second images both show renders of the Grinch and his dog Max, which led credibility to the theory that this leak may have been from a real print shop. And if the shop is doing work for a DreamWorks movie, then this must be from a legitimate source, and therefore the Smash material is also genuine. And this is obviously where the Grinch Leak name comes from, as this is what people pointed to investigate it in the first place. Now, I saw a ton of people be like, I can't believe people think the Grinch is going to be in Smash, and no, it wasn't that, it was just that the Grinch was in the background, and so that's what led people to start investigating. Now, using the original uploader's information, people were led to a LinkedIn profile where the person listed their employer as Marina PLV, which is a marketing and promotional material print shop. On their website, they have listed their past clients, and Bandai Namco is front and center among the other logos. And Bandai Namco, as it turns out, is the developer of Smash Ultimate alongside Sakurai. So far, everything checks out as pretty plausible. Now, it's not necessarily that Bandai Namco are the ones handling the marketing, but maybe they just gave Nintendo a recommendation and Nintendo went with it. Based on this logic anyway. But then some daring individuals actually reached out to Marina and they inquired about the employee in question. And it turns out that he no longer worked for them and had left 2 years prior. But as it turns out, the leak didn't actually come from Marina. It came from ACP PLV, which is another French print shop, which coincidentally, the leaker actually currently worked at. So already we have some doubt thrown into the mix here, and it's about this time that people truly start to take sides on whether this thing is real or fake. Before, it was basically just whether or not you liked the characters that were shown, but now with some evidence backing it up, and this leak being the constant point of discussion in the community, some passionate opinions are being formed. Now, personally, none of this pointed me away from believing it could be real, but I did, of course, have my healthy amount of doubts, as with any leak. Nintendo was doing all kinds of events to promote Smash Ultimate at this time, so it maybe made some sense for there to be wristbands made for some kind of an upcoming event. There were a bunch of different tournaments. There were, in America anyway, a bunch of demo stops at malls and things, so it didn't seem too unlikely for this to be the case. And a leak from a print shop really doesn't seem that unlikely either, so the actual circumstances of the leak never exactly sounded fishy to me. But we're not done yet. Oh no. Next, people hunted the internet for more information, desperate to prove their side one way or the other. And that led to a video on ACP PLV's YouTube channel, which showed off their workspace. The originally leaked image showed some industrial printer settings in the background, and as it turns out, apparently there are some printer enthusiasts in the Smash community because ACP's printers use that exact printer setting, which means that we have an actual employee for an actual company using actual printer settings that match the printers used on ACP's video. Now, I'm unsure if the video playing now is the exact same video that people found, but it's the current video that's on ACP's website, and so I imagine if it's not the exact same one, it's very, very similar. But if that wasn't enough, ACP ended up deleting that video, and many thought that this was some pretty damning evidence. The comment section of that video pretty much became entirely Smash related, and so people were sure that if they had nothing to do with Smash, they could just simply disable the comments. I mean, why would they delete it if they don't have anything to hide? So people drew a conclusion that Nintendo must have made them delete that video because this was used to prove that the leak was legitimate and Nintendo wanted to keep that information from the public as quickly as possible. And on top of that, people were sure that if this person was just making a big prank, he would get in a ton of trouble for using company materials, company money, property, resources for non-work related things. So that would be a really big gamble for somebody to do at work just for a silly internet prank. And that led people to have confidence that it had to be real and it had to be on the job printed specifically for Nintendo because, no one would ever abuse a company's policies and just mess around, It's never been done before, ever. So let's stop again and have another sort of reflection. First, people were sure that the deleting of the ACP video was a smoking gun, and it was evidence that there was something to hide. But honestly, it makes sense in retrospect. I see where they are coming from, and if it had been real, I would have agreed with them. But this video was on the front page of ACP's website. It was meant to be an introduction and a sort of quick rundown for any new potential clients that were looking to hire ACP for any kind of service. So now imagine that you are a small business. This company has probably less than 100 employees, and they aren't the biggest fish in the pond. Now, this re-uploaded video only has 310 views since it was re-uploaded last year. So they obviously don't have a ton of new clients. So imagine that a potential client clicks this video and looks in the comments and sees a bunch of gamers arguing using a bunch of gamer words. The client could easily be put off by that or really confused and maybe want to look for another service or company. So from a marketing and a PR standpoint, it just makes a lot of sense for the company to just take the video down, wait for it to blow over, and then just re-upload the video good as new. But I can also see how at the time it made people jump up and down and freak out about the possibility of it being real. Another big point of contention was the actual art itself. A ton of videos came out assessing the assets and deciding whether or not it was real, and most notably was Artsy Omni, who created the infamous Smash 4 Rayman hoax. So if anybody knows anything about creating hoaxes for Smash, it is Artsy Omni. But he wasn't the only one, and a ton of them concluded that the blank backgrounds were not accurate to the real piece, and it was clear that they were using some basic Photoshop tactics to fill in the blanks rather than having access to the actual original background. But again, this was an area where it was enough to sow doubt, but it wasn't really enough to disprove anything outright. There was still the air of, alright, this looks kinda sketchy, but what if it's not? What if it's real? Now, the final thing that wasn't necessarily linked to the Grinch leak, but was sort of evidence to support it, was that CoroCoro reported that there would be 108 stages in Smash Ultimate. Now, prior to this, we learned that there would actually only be 103 stages in a previous Direct, but if you were to look at all of the characters, there are actually 5 new series that have yet to be represented in Smash, and so people concluded that those 5 stages that aren't accounted for in the Direct versus the CoroCoro are those new stages for the new characters that are coming. What I think really happened here is that Korokoro kind of just jumped the gun. We knew about 103 stages, and Korokoro presumably had information regarding the DLC characters and that each one would come with a stage. We have 5 DLC fighters in the fighter pass, that adds up to 108, so Korokoro knew about this, but the general public didn't. So it's very possible that they just sort of accidentally said there are going to be 108 stages before the entire world knew. And so that's why they reported that, but people linked it to the Grinch Leak because it was technically the truth, just not for the Grinch Leak, for the fighter pass that we didn't know about yet. And then right before the November 1st Direct, Vergeben came out and said that the Grinch Leak is false for a number of reasons. The first is that Isaac was an assist trophy, and that was a blow to the Grinch Leak because Isaac was a fighter in the mural, but that Ken and Incineroar would be the actual final 2 fighters for the game. And that's kind of where it ends. It's a little bit anticlimactic how it ends, but that's all we really have. The November 1st Direct came around, and it started with Ken versus Little Mac, which sort of gave everybody a, wait a second. Ken was in both. We don't know which was real because Vergeben said Ken and the Grinch Leak had Ken, so they weren't sure. But then immediately Incineroar was shown, and we were proven that the Grinch Leak was completely false and Vergeben was right. And that's kind of where it ends. We kind of just like in an instant we're told, all right, Grinch Leak totally fake. Which just blows my mind because this was like the most elaborate, I mean, maybe accidentally elaborate hoax, but the way that the community sort of dove in and we have all of these details to talk about and all of these things that were for or against it, it just blows my mind that this happened and we still don't know who made the leak. If you're out there, man, I don't know if you're watching, if you're French, if you even understand what I'm saying, but I am blown away. I would love to chat with you if you somehow would like to. I don't think you would, though, because it's been a full year and you still haven't come out at all. So if anybody knows anything, I would love to know. But I think this is going to be one of the great Smash Ultimate mysteries, and we're just never going to know who made it, and we're just going to be left in the dark forever. But honestly, in retrospect, I can see why people believed the Grinch Leak because it had stuff going for it, even though it had stuff going against it. And all of the leaks out there have had something for it and against it. And so I don't blame anybody who was firmly in the Grinch camp, especially because, you know, people weren't necessarily being 100% objective because maybe they saw Shadow or they saw Geno and they were like, oh my gosh. And then they just like were completely in the Grinch Leak camp, no matter the evidence. So if you're being objective, there's definitely more doubt to sort of admit to, but because people's favorite characters were involved and people actually had like an emotional interest in this, I could see why they were just so torn apart by this. And that's pretty much everything. I'm still blown away, like I said, that this happened and that we don't know who did it. Did they know it was going to get as big as it did? Did they think it would even spread outside a small fan group or something? Like, I don't know. Were they even French? I just don't know, man. I would love to be able to talk to whoever made it, but there's no way to prove it, I don't think. But yeah, that is the Grinch Leak. I would love to know which side of the coin you guys fell on. Were you for the Grinch Leak? Were you against it? Or were you somewhere in the middle? I mean, like me, I was personally, if I'm being honest, I was in the middle but leaning towards real only because, like I said, I had an emotional attachment and investment to Banjo-Kazooie, so I just wanted it to be true, but I could see why it wasn't now with hindsight. So I'd love to know what you guys thought of the Grinch Leak when it was, you know, sort of the active conversation. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like, and if you're new, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out, and have a happy holiday.